G'day mate, how we doing today? I want to make a bit of a tier list of my hardcore episodes because I thought it'd be fun to kind of think through which episodes I'm proud of, which episodes I'm very proud of, and which episodes I'm not the most proud of. It's going to be interesting, so I might just give these names a little bit more of a category, like S is peak content, A is awesome, B equals pretty good, C equals okay, and D equals not great. So, first episode. This episode, I begun everything, and I'm gonna be probably ranking my earliest episodes pretty low because I look back at them and I'm like, man, some of the editing, some of the thumbnails, some of the storytelling, all of that, I'm just like, oh, yeah, it kind of makes me cringe looking back at my old videos, especially my microphone quality, like, oh my. First episode, I'd say it's okay. It's only 10 minutes long. I feel like it could be longer, you know, a first episode. I feel like I needed to go more into depth as to what I was doing. Second episode, where I collected every single armor trim. I remember having a lot of fun recording that one, and it got over 1 million views, which is crazy. However, it makes me cringe when I hear my microphone quality, and some of my editing is a bit dodgy and stuff, but I reckon I'll put it in pretty good because it is a pretty awesome adventure, that one. And this third episode is where I went and decorated my armor and got netherite for it. And I remember that being, it was an edit of a live stream and I found it pretty fun. And I remember finding it pretty funny, but it's like less than 8 minutes long. It's such a short little video. And I feel like personally, I prefer the episodes to be longer, because then they'll feel like actual episodes rather than just like a short in a way. So I'm gonna put it in okay. Now the Cherry Village episode, that was a pretty cool build. I'm really proud of the build for that one. Also, the video is pretty hilarious. It is only 10 minutes, but still pretty epic video, has some really funny moments in it. So I reckon I'm gonna put that in pretty good. Now this episode I made after I reached 100 days, and I made a video where I kind of was just like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life now, and I just did a bunch of random things, a bunch of random tasks, and so that video, it doesn't have much of a purpose. The storytelling it's like it could be better. It's kind of a random video to have in there. So I think I'm gonna put that one in not great, actually. Now the Sniffer Sanctuary video. One of my most popular videos on my channel with 1.5 million views. And it was where we witnessed the birth of Mossy Moss, my very epic, ridiculous song. I had lots of fun making this one. I feel like the quality of it could be better. The idea is pretty crazy, transforming a sniffer sanctuary into an ancient city. I mean, flip the other way around. So I reckon I'm gonna put this one in awesome. I almost want to put it in peak content because of Mossy Moss, but again, it's too short. I feel like it could have been more like a 20-minute, 30-minute video because it was such a big, epic project, but it was only a 9-minute long video or something. Could have gone way more into depth as to how I did the whole build. Now, this episode, where I went and found the new music disc, Relic. That episode was an edit of a live stream. It's a pretty fun episode, and I got pretty creative towards the end with like doing this whole animation. But in my mind, I remember that episode as me kind of just flying around aimlessly until I gave up and used chunk base and then found the music disc and then did an animation about it. So this one, I'm gonna put in not great. I don't like putting any in not great because I want to think of all of them as great, but I'm trying to give it a really good critique on how good or bad each episode is. I still recommend you watch every single episode, but I'm trying to like do some serious maths and do some serious thinking and critiquing, okay? This episode, I went and got every single armor trim set. And I had lots of people still to this day comment and say, you forgot to put quartz on an armor trim and netherite. And I'm like, I never intended to do that. The idea was to just get all of the trims, not the minerals, and put them on netherite armor. And so I just chose the minerals based on what I thought looked the best. Anyway, this episode I had lots of fun making. I remember live streaming, doing a lot of the netherite mining and just having a blast on the live streams with you guys. I reckon this one probably fits in with these three. Pretty good. It's a pretty good episode. Now, Sniffer Airplane. This is where things changed for me. This is where I realized my potential to be just silly on YouTube. No, actually, I realized that with Mossy Moss, but Sniffer Airplane ignited that even more. I reckon that is definitely in the awesome category. The main reason why it's in awesome is because of the build idea. The quality of the video, if it was a better quality video and storytelling and editing, maybe I would have put it in peak content. I especially love the intro of that video, but I reckon I'm gonna put it in awesome because the build is peak content, but the editing and stuff, you know, it's not my best work, but I guess at the time it was my best work. Now the next episode was really a part 2 to the Sniffer Aeroplane, which I've always regretted separating them into 2 separate episodes. I've always thought after finishing this one, I was like, man, this should just be a 20-minute video with these 2 as one video. Like, this is completing the build. It didn't really hurt the channel, like this video still did well, but it's kind of made me feel like this could have been way better if it was all put together in one episode. This is just basically me building a storage system inside the Sniffer Aeroplane. So I reckon with the quality of the editing and the project and everything, I reckon I'm just gonna put it in. It's okay. It's an okay episode. I haven't watched it for a while, so but that's also where I made the mining sand song. So that was pretty fun. I remember doing a few live streams doing this whole video, so it was very fun streaming that, but I reckon it can just go in okay. Now this episode with Dorothy, where we went and traveled all the way home on Dorothy, and if Dorothy died, I would have ended my hardcore world, which was pretty crazy because Dorothy did almost die. I thought it would be easy. Like, yeah, you can look after a camel, it's fine. And then I went in a swamp at nighttime and heaps of skeletons were shooting her and she almost died. That is a pretty awesome episode. So I do want to put it in awesome, but the reason why it's not in peak is because, again, my editing, my microphone quality, my storytelling. Well, storytelling was all right in that one, actually. It's a pretty hilarious and silly idea, is to just like, my life is tied to this camel. So yeah. Bamboo camel episode where I built a giant bamboo camel. The thing about this episode is I love how it ends with this time travel paradox. And that was a really cool way to finish the video. Like, I loved that, and I've wanted to do something like it since, but I haven't thought of anything. But the thing that I don't like when I watch this episode is, like, I'm always yelling at the camera, which is embarrassing. Like, why am I yelling so much? Just chill out, dude. I guess I just thought that made the video more entertaining, but no. I was just yelling. So I reckon I'm gonna put this one in pretty good because I love the ending for it, but I don't love my presentation in it. This episode where I went and got all of the different pots, all of the different pottery sherds, which I had lots of people yell at me and abuse me for calling them sherds and not shards, but in game they're called sherds. This was a really cool adventure. I literally started my adventure with Kevin on this one. I was really proud of the storytelling with it, so I reckon I'm gonna put that one in awesome. That is an awesome episode. And then this is where the tragedy happened, where I was going on my way home with my pottery sherds, and I was with Kevin, and Kevin died. And man, that episode is a crazy story. Crazy awesome story. So I'm gonna put that one in awesome as well. Now this episode where I went to transform a trail ruin, which basically wasn't transforming it, it was just building a trail ruin above ground. I didn't like this video at the end of it. I was building and I was like, this is not a great build, and I've already made an entire video. Like, I can't just delete the video, and I'd like live streamed it and everything, so I just blew up the build. So I'm gonna put that one in not great. This video where I built a giant armor set, I was convinced that my niche on YouTube must be armor trims because of this video going viral and this video doing pretty alright. I was like, alright, I guess armor trims, I'm the armor trim guy. And so I built a giant set of armor. It's a good video. I have Squiddy Squid Dan in there, and the build is pretty cool, actually. So I reckon I'm gonna put that one in pretty good. And the reason why I'm not putting it in awesome is because I guess it's not like iconic cringy girl content with the build in mind. It's still iconic cringy girl content with like Squiddy Squid Dan and my personality and stuff. But the build, it doesn't feel like a super iconic cringy girl build with the fact that it's like an armor set. Like, it's cool, but it's not silly. Now, this episode, which is called The End of an Era, I almost clickbaited it and I was like, oh yes, I'm deleting my world, and I kind of imply that there. And I just like do a bunch of things to kind of finish a few builds, touch up a few things. And the things I do in the episode, I feel like are pretty mid. They're like, you know, all right. But the end of the episode, where I kind of just make it seem like I'm gonna die, and make it a really sad ending, but then I don't die, is pretty funny to me. This is an okay episode. It's cool to look back on the builds that I'd done just before reaching 1,000 days. This episode, where I went and changed my rules for totems. I decided that instead of limiting myself and only letting myself use a total of 5 totems in my world, I would only use organic totems. In other words, totems that I find in mansions. It was a pretty fun adventure. It's an edit of a live stream actually, and it was a pretty shocking thing for people to see me burn my totems as well. I remember in the live stream people were like, what? No! That's also an okay episode. I just realized okay and pretty good pretty much mean the same thing, so I might just change B to cool. There we go. Now the mob vote video. I made this like, I went crazy. I got up really early in the morning every single morning that they announced the next mob in the mob vote, and I worked hard and I built the builds. I remember finding it a pretty funny video and I loved some of the things I did in there and the energy I had. But the builds, I just felt like could have been better, specifically the armadillo. I was not really satisfied with how I built that. So I want to put this episode in okay. This is an edit of multiple live streams, and I kind of rushed that together because I realized this was taking too long and I wasn't going to be able to release it within the time frame that I wanted to release my next video. So I kind of just rushed this one together. And so it's just like kind of a bunch of stream highlights, and it's cool, like, you know, fun vibes and that. But as far as like an episode goes, it feels kind of like filler to me. So I think that one deserves to be a not great because it's a bit aimless in a way, and so there's not really much of a story to be told. Yeah. Giant Jeb. This is when I decided to really embrace the idea of building some really stupid stuff and just going crazy with dumb builds. And I had lots of fun making this. I loved the time lapse at the end. I loved collaborating with Nafi. I loved the song I made. This goes in peak content, I reckon. I reckon it's one of my really underrated episodes. It's like one of my least viewed episodes in the series. After that, I went and turned the entire end island into wheat because I just joked to Nafi saying, what if I just turned the entire end into wheat? And then I was like, actually, I'll do it. And so I reckon this one goes in the peak content category because it's like such a dumb idea. I had fun editing and recording this video, had a really awesome collaboration with my friends, and so I just had a blast making this one. And I also enjoyed like just the result of a giant end island covered in wheat. It was actually really helpful for the rest of my world because you need wheat for packed mud and target blocks, which came in handy later. My Seagull Army. This, without a doubt, goes in peak content. Like, that is an insane build. It took me a long, long time. It hurt my wrist. The song is epic, and it's a seagull build. Like, it's a lot to do with me and my, like, who I am on YouTube because I'm a seagull. Can you not tell? I loved just the storytelling in this and the climax and the soundtrack and everything. I had a great time making that episode. And then after that, I tried to do something just that would not be super hard to make, just like do really small builds. And so I did like building your dumb ideas in Minecraft Hardcore. And your ideas were hilarious, but I felt like I just didn't do them justice. Like my builds were just rushed and small and could have been a lot better. So I think that one belongs in the not great tier. This episode is where I jumped in the void without an elytra, and I set up a stasis chamber to teleport me back to the top within enough time. I fell 10,000 or actually 11,000 blocks. It was absolutely insane. This one is also peak content to me. Like, I loved that video. I loved how it all turned out. So glad that I didn't die because of all the epic things I did after that. It was truly awesome sauce. It is definitely in the peak content category, fair and square right there. Then I went and did a live stream where I just tried to get all of the weird Minecraft advancements, like float in a boat with a goat and like bring a ghast to the overworld. And that was a fun video. Yeah, I enjoyed doing that. The thing is, it doesn't feel like the most unique and iconic Cringy Girl video, so I'm just gonna put it in cool. Like, it's an enjoyable watch. It's not peak and it's not bad. It's cool. It's all right. And then I went and built a poisonous potato factory. And I loved writing a song about a poisonous potato. Yeah, the build is also great. It was fun doing a factory build like redstone and building it in that theme. I reckon that one also belongs in peak content. Then I went and froze the nether. That was a lot bigger of a project than I realized it would when I thought of it. It's a really epic build, but I feel like even though it was so massive and one of my biggest builds in the entire series, I felt like it should have been bigger. So instead of putting it in peak, I reckon I'm going to put it in awesome. It is an awesome video, awesome build, but it could have been better, I reckon. And then I went and built a bog on a log with a frog. That video I loved making. I love making a video with a rhyming title and build. I loved the music video I made, and I loved building a frog. As you know, I love building frogs. I'm tossing up between putting it in peak and awesome. I reckon because it's embracing the silliness of cringy builds and doing something ridiculous like a surfing bogged, I reckon that belongs in peak because of the build and the song, and yeah, it's just a great video overall. And then I went and built a golden pig. And the music video in that is just like, that was fun to make, like a full-on animated music video, and I love the song in that, but I feel like the video itself, like the story and the project and everything, I feel like it's not my peak content, but it's still awesome. Armadillo Mega Train. That was something I was waiting to do from the moment they announced armadillos. I was like, if armadillos won, I bet I could turn that into a train. And so I did. I turned it into a train, and it is a classic cringy girl video. It feels like a sequel to the Sniffer Aeroplane. So I reckon that one also belongs in peak because at that point, I finally had my microphone. My microphone was upgraded, so I'm finally not cringing at my mic audio there. And I love the animation and the intro, and the song is pretty fun, and it's a cool build as well. In the next episode, I went and built a house for every single wolf. This episode felt like a repeat of another video I made before that, where I went and collected every kind of dog in a different world. And it's not like the goofiest build either. Like, it's a cool and fun adventure, and I loved going on that. I was with Dorothy on that adventure, but it doesn't feel like the most cringy goal of a video. It feels like the kind of video that like anyone would make who makes Minecraft survival videos or hardcore videos. So I reckon that one belongs in cool. The next video I made this this beacon out of beacons. And I made that because I just wanted a beacon farm. I wanted an easier supply of beacons. So it was good to get that together. I reckon that one belongs in awesome. Then I went and built every single dog, except it wasn't like I've got here in the thumbnail. I built all the dogs on it as a tower, like a skyscraper of dogs. I reckon that one belongs in peak content, you know? It's a classic cringy girl mob build in a silly way where they're all on a tower on top of each other. The Fancy Breeze video. I decided to try some new things to do with presentation in this one, and I put on a bit of a funny, silly character and outfit and stuff. The problem was that the build was too small. It was just like one mob, which I feel like all my other builds were a lot bigger and better than this one. However, I do love the song, and I do love just the humor in this video, but because it's like, it's awesome, but it's not like super epic and peak, so I'm gonna put it in awesome. Then I went vault hunting, as in I went and just opened a whole lot of vaults, 100 vaults. And that was a fun adventure. It was fun to go around and see all the trial chambers and go and loot them and stuff, but it didn't feel like an iconic cringy girl video. I'm gonna put it in cool because it's like, it's a good watch, but it's not like the most amazing, but it's not bad. Then I went and started my mega project, my biggest project of the series, and that was the trial chamber transformation. I went ahead and built a gigantic trial chamber, and I loved making the video for that one. I especially loved the sleep-deprived song and also the LAN party that I did with that. I'm gonna put that one in peak content. And then after that, I went and turned it into an automatic storage system, which was also very fun, but I can't really remember anything memorable from that other than just, yeah, me turning it into a storage system. So I reckon that one just goes in awesome. I also did struggle to kind of be my excited self in that video because I had some pretty rough times going on in my life. So I feel like my energy was not quite there, but still I did enjoy the build and enjoyed making the video. I then went and collected all of the items in the game, at least all the ones that I could. The problem was I actually didn't really come that close to collecting all of them. There were a lot that I missed. But I did get all of the ones that I personally wanted. But again, it's not like the most iconic and original idea, collecting all the items in Minecraft. So that one goes in awesome rather than peak. And then I went and added the crafter to all my builds, which was great and enjoyable and fun to play with a new redstone component. I reckon this video goes in cool because it's pretty chill. It's not like the craziest video, but it's not like a bad video. So I think it's just like, yeah, this is a cool episode. I then went and built a trial chamber city, which was something that I wanted to do for a while. And yeah, it was epic build. I felt like it could have been even better, but I was still very happy with how it ended up at the end. I reckon that one goes in awesome. After that, I went and made an episode where I just forgot about having any aim and just played the game and did things that I needed to do. Kind of like this episode, but at this point my editing and entertainment and performance and stuff was a lot better. So rather than being a not great episode, I reckon this one is probably just, yeah, a cool episode where I just kind of do things in my world. It's got chill vibes and it's a nice longer episode where we don't go crazy in it, but we also have a good time. I then went and built the giantest firefly ever. 100,000 blocks this one was. And I reckon that belongs in peak content. Like, that is a dumb idea. It's on the same level as like the poisonous potato factory or building 10,000 seagulls. Like, that is just ridiculous. So I reckon that one well and truly belongs in peak content. I especially loved live streaming this one and getting the build done there, but then I think I fell sick at the end, so I didn't get to complete it on the stream, but still we did like 2 live streams and it was great. Then after that I built as many mobs as I could in one day, and that was a video I made, like, it was quite rushed, but it was a great video. I actually loved making it, so that one also belongs in peak. Like, I did it because I was working on the time machine and I was having so many problems with the time machine that I didn't want to miss that weekly upload thing that I always try and do. So I made this one just last minute, randomly came up with that idea, and I loved doing it. It was a pretty funny build, just like putting all the mobs on top of each other. Especially loved, as you can tell by the thumbnail, I loved getting the Enderman to hold the frog. I then went and built the time machine. And that was crazy. That was like hugely difficult to do because the redstone was just insane. And I loved the storytelling of that video. I reckon that one goes in awesome because I guess I feel like I could have done a better build. Like, the time machine itself was like, that was peak content. But then the pyramids in ancient Egypt, I felt like could have been a bit better. A giant seagull episode. That was a good episode. I loved addressing in the middle of the episode, like answering the comments of so many people saying, "Cringy, why did you build this?" And I loved that little segment in there. And the result, the seagull, was just huge and looked so good in my army. I reckon that's also peak content. Absolutely. Building the Jurassic Park of mine, that was an extension of my time machine. This video, like, I loved live streaming, building the mountain and clearing out the mangrove and stuff, but I actually found this video kind of hard to make because I guess I was definitely out of my comfort zone and I felt like I could have built more dinosaurs and I never completed the mountain range. So I reckon this one actually belongs in cool because it is a cool and fun video. And also the song in that video is awesome. I very much loved that. But I felt like the build could have, well, the build wasn't actually finished. So yeah, it could have been better. And then I went and built mobs in a constant state of fear, which I definitely want to make more of those videos, like make some more mobs in fear videos. This is definitely, I reckon, peak content because that was an episode, like when I thought of it, I could not stop thinking about it until I started recording it because I just thought it was such a funny idea. And yeah, it all just started from someone suggesting to me I should build an Enderman in water. And then from there, I just thought, what if I built like a snowman in lava or a phantom in a bed? The phantom in the bed was the funniest bit to me. And then I went and built every freaking creaking. I don't know if I would call it peak content of Cringy Gull. It feels like it's not as much of a silly, iconic Cringy Gull build, but it is an awesome video. Like, I definitely am proud of the video and loved making it, but I feel like it's not one of those iconic Cringy Gull videos. And then finally, I died in my hardcore world. I made this video, and when I finished making it, I thought, man, it sucks that I died, but that was a crazy story to tell about the world just deteriorating and corrupting, and then I died because of it. That is peak content to me. Like, That is one of my favorite videos I've made, actually. I thought that was so cool to tell that story. I just realized I should probably like rearrange some of these to make them more in order of like my favorite of each tier, silly me. So there's my tier list. Now I'd like to look at some of your tier lists. I made an announcement on my Discord saying that I will look at everyone's tier lists if they share it in the media channel. So let's have a look at what everyone has got to say about my hardcore series. So the very first one got by Cringiest Seagull, the only right answer. Okay, of course. Now, Hamuel Ham says, yep, okay, everything in S tier. Best vids on YouTube, thank you. I'm most interested in the lower ranking episodes. Interesting, there's a fair few in not the best, okay. And then there's a bunch here that you haven't watched. This one, you gotta watch this one. This one's so good. Here we go, peak content. You love the golden pig. And you didn't put any of them in not the best. Okay, so they're all at least pretty good, or you just haven't seen some of the episodes. Okay, here is Blazing Ninja, who has been a very regular commenter and member of my community. So I'm curious to see, you loved these episodes, and those are good episodes. Chaos has put a whole lot in S rank. Nice, interesting. And you put the one where I died in D. In this one, we've got like almost everything in S tier. My death and my starting episode in not the best, and then I don't know this episode for one of my most viewed episodes. Yeah, it's definitely very interesting to see different people's like tastes in my episodes. I love to see it. Be sure to check out this video that's just popped up on your screen. I'm sure you'll love it, and I'll see you around on the interwebs. Goodbyes.